Let's go now to the US political analyst, Calvin Dark. And Calvin, we saw some of those trials last week. This is the main guy, Enrique Tarrio, who we're waiting to hear more about this sentencing.
Yes, and this is going to be extremely significant because up until now, a lot of Trump supporters and Republicans actually had tried to paint all of the January 6th legal issues as politically motivated or exaggerated. But as we see, more and more juries of American citizens and judges, some appointed by Trump, are passing out really harsh sentences. And so that is beginning to sink in. And of course, that then begs the question, what will the punishment be for Donald Trump if he is found guilty with his acts in connection with the January 6th insurrection?
Calvin, it was really quite interesting last week with some of the others. They were very remorseful, very sorry. One was sobbing. And after the actual trial, their attorney came out and said, look, where's Donald Trump in all of this? When your president says that your country is at risk and under attack, what are you supposed to do? I suppose the question then is, where is Donald Trump in all of this?
Well, we know from Donald Trump's history and his present, he is concerned with Donald Trump. That goes for the people who are charged along with him, for example, in Georgia, and for the people that are now paying the price for doing what they believe he asked them to do on January 6th. I think it's going to be really interesting if he continues to not vocally support them in public. These people could be witnesses and give testimony in his trial. But we have seen on the campaign trail, he has toyed with the idea of possibly pardoning those folks because his idea is that it wasn't a crime. But that remains to be seen.
Calvin, are the American people watching these trials carefully?
I think this particular sentence they will, Tarrio being, the former head of the Proud Boys, but in a lot of ways, it all blends together. I think most Americans believe that what happened on January 6th was a crime and was not something to be repeated. But there have been so many people charged and so many trials, so many verdicts, so many sentencing, it all seems to blend together. However, I think more Americans will start to pay more attention as Donald Trump's trial in connection with the events starts very soon.
And, based on what we've seen over the last few years, I mean, American politics has always been polarized and divisive, but it feels particularly tense and heated right now.
Yes, that's true. And it's interesting that the way most Americans see this sentencing that we're expecting today and the trials of Donald Trump are not on their legal basis, but on their political basis. Most Americans believe that Donald Trump is guilty or not guilty, depending on their party affiliation. And as the election campaign heats up in the United States, that's only going to get deeper. So whenever these verdicts come out, it's going to depend on which party you're from, if you think it's a fair verdict or if you think it was exaggerated or politically motivated.
But the fact remains that Donald Trump is still the front runner by far of the Republican Party.
And that says a lot about what the Republican Party is looking for in a candidate, that a candidate not only who has been arrested and has an upcoming trial, but that had a role in the events that caused hundreds of people to be charged and many to go to jail. That says a lot about what Republicans think about the events on January the 6th, 2021.
Calvin, thank you so much for joining us and for all of your analysis here on the program.
Thank you.
That's Calvin